Alright, it's hot.
Hot?
It's hot. Just shut it down and plug it.
Yeah. No, it should be going.
Okay.
From Gary?
That needs to be in the car. You always have a roll of duct tape in the car at all times. That'll help you.
Alright.
Thank you.
Good to go. Text me.
Gotcha.
Just swing by and
I'm
then
off
I'll
the
get it.
Will do.
Alright, nice. Oh Lord.
It's not fun.
Hey, I gotta go get something.
Yeah. I wouldn't do anything just yet.
You get married. Gotta get this all done.
That could have been like referred to us in a.
Well, this one was our last.
She's tired of the way the SID does things. Well, it really does.
Oh, yes, I've been for whatever reason.
We're not, I will not let them go, but I'll file with every court in this county. We can hold on to voice on that. Oh, I believe it's good. That's a property on your file.
Is that too much?
No, I mean, it's gonna take a while.
Am I saying?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean.
Okay, yeah. Ready.
You want to read the Bible?
Has everyone signed in, please?
How are you? Copy of that first one.
Dylan, can I use your phone? Oh, never mind, I've got it right here. I have been running like a giant.
I know, me too.
Like holding it.
Just simply just says now. Okay. Just let me show it. Yeah. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Trying to tell people because they didn't know after Memorial Day weekend, and I'm like, can you not see what this says?
Oh, what you're failing to mention is the bylaws.
Doesn't matter. Our bylaws stand just
What
like,
stands?
our bylaws stand until they get over the road.
It will stand.
It stands until it gets
Nothing that
overrode
bars
by
it,
the majority
still,
of the
or
property.
any of it is, they can't change the bylaws. Yes, I agree, but they need to be updated.
It doesn't matter. And you cannot update it
It's a
without the
it's a
majority.
legal binding order. It cannot be updated, it can't be taken away from.
Gentlemen, what's the problem?
Just because I brought up the bylaws need to be updated, they're outdated.
Okay, so when we discuss those, then maybe we can talk about that during the meeting instead of having a little
You
like.
have to
Missing match
have
here.
3/4 of the majority vote as the landowners for anything to
Sir,
be added to.
Sir, I know how it works, I am on another department.
I don't care less if you're on run the department.
You know what, if you can't be civil, then we'll ask you to leave.
Pretty sure
This
we're all
is
being
gonna
civil.
be a civil meeting.
I'm pretty sure we're being civil.
We're just gonna conduct the meeting off the bylaws we have. We're not
Right.
trying to have to, we
That's
got it
what,
right here.
that's what we were talking about. because-
I agree, I was just saying, we already
Yeah.
talked about it.
We don't need everybody's input at once, and this is a meeting with the board.
Right, there's no question and answer session.
Okay. It's almost 1 o'clock.
I'm just telling you, it's a waste of my time. You think somebody's gonna listen to me? I ain't gonna waste my time sitting there.
Meeting is called to order at 1 o'clock p.m.
So as a landowner, none of us gonna ask a question?
Does it say that this was a meeting for the landowners? No, this is for the commissioners. It's a special meeting for the commissioners.
So the only true commissioner that's in here?
Excuse me?
Keith?
You either leave or you sit there and be quiet. Plain and simple.
Before you have a meeting,
It's a public place.
Okay.
not without public consent.
Stop.
Or you might want to stop and check who you're talking to.
There's no assistant fire.
Okay. Gary, would you do our opening prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for what we have. We pray you look down upon this group and is here for a reason. Help us all to make the right choice, to realize that we're all here for the betterment of the community. We ask all this in your name.
Amen. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioners present,
Kirby? Lang?
Johnson. Meeting to adjourn by,
Yeah, we don't know. Depends on how long it'll take them to read.
let's say 2 o'clock. You want to make a motion for the meeting? No, make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Della made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
You have to read them all?
Second.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay. The reason for the meeting is to discuss the bylaws. So I've asked Priscilla if she will read through the bylaws. So it'll be a few minutes.
Bylaws of Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement District Voluntary Fire Department. Whereas the Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement District has formed a nonprofit voluntary fire department, VFD, in accordance with the laws of the state of Arkansas. And whereas the VFD desires to formulate its bylaws. Article 1, members. 1.1, application for membership. Any person may apply to become a member of the VFD. Each applicant must complete a written membership application and present it to an officer of the VFD, who will then present the application for review to the Ozark Acres Board of Commissioners. 1.2, recommendation by the Board of Commissioners. The board shall evaluate the applications of all potential members and recommend applicants for acceptance into the VFD. 1.3, VFD approval. The VFD shall conduct one meeting per month. At this monthly meeting, the members of the VFD shall consider only the applicants of the membership that have been recommended by the board. The VFD may vote to accept, reject, or request more information on such applicants. If the VFD requests additional information on an applicant, the VFD shall not vote to accept or reject this particular applicant until the next monthly VFD meeting when the requested information has been made available. In the event the applicant must obtain a majority vote of the VFD current membership in favor of admitting such applicant, then the applicant shall be considered for membership. Anything less than a majority vote shall be determined a rejection of such applicant. If an applicant is rejected, he or she may not apply to be a member of the VFD for a period of 1 year from the date of such rejection. 1.4, background check and physical. If the board has recommended an applicant and the VFD has by a majority vote voted in favor of such an applicant, then such applicant must undergo a background investigation and physical test prior to the next VFD monthly meeting. 1.5, final approval of the VFD. After the background investigation and physical have been completed, reviewed, and judged satisfactory by the board, the VFD shall submit the applicant for final approval at the next VFD monthly meeting. The applicant must receive final approval by a 2/3 majority vote of the VFD. Probationary, 1.6, probationary period pending final approval. Upon receiving final approval by a 2/3 majority of the VFD, the applicant shall be placed on probation with the VFD for a period of 90 days from the date of the VFD final approval vote. During this probationary period, the applicant must attend all VFD meetings, VFD drills, and VFD training sessions. Further, the applicant shall act only under direct supervision of the fire chief, assistant fire chief, or the captains. 1.7, Board of Commissioners final approval. After the end of the probationary period, the volunteer fire chief shall make a formal recommendation to the board. The board shall approve the applicant for membership if it is determined the applicant has met all of the requirements of membership. 1.8, fire equipment prior to final approval. No fire equipment shall be issued to an applicant prior to the final approval of the board. 1.9, training classes. Within 1 year of final approval by the board, each new member shall complete all training classes required by Arkansas Act 833. Such classes include fire protection training class, protective equipment training class, and wildlands fires training class. Article 2, officers. Officers of the VFD. The VFD shall have the following officers: fire chief, assistant fire chief, safety officer, captains, training officer, pump operator, secretary, and treasurer. The fire chief shall be appointed by the board for a 3-year term. However, at any time, the board may vote to remove the fire chief by a majority vote of the board. The fire chief shall have the following responsibilities: oversee all operations, decisions, and conduct of the VFD, oversee and supervise the performance of the other VFD officers, work with the board to assure the application for certification of the VFD is prepared and submitted each year, schedule and coordinate all training of the VFD, including maintaining the appropriate records, assure that each member of the VFD has the proper personal protective equipment, including providing that all such equipment meets all NFPA standards, assure that each member of the VFD is familiar with the emergency action plans for Spring Lake Dam and for Lake Vagabond Dam, supervise the notification and evacuation of the residents and others in the event the emergency action plans for Spring Lake Dam and for Lake Vagabond Dam are implemented, approve all expenditures for small or emergency purchases for the VFD, purchased with funds from the VFD Impress account. Define Impress account. It is a separate account with the 833 money. No, it's a separate account.
It's a separate account. It's kept in the office. And there's $500 in that account.
Okay, so we always have had an Impress account, and it has always been separate from other VFD accounts. Report all purchases of equipment to the board and provide an invoice for each such purpose. Appoint all officers of the volunteer fire department and attend every Ozark Acres Commissioner and property owners meeting. These meetings are held on the third Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock at the clubhouse. Present the fire chief's report to the board at the owners meeting. Such report shall include the following information: minutes of the VFD meetings, including the number of members who attended each meeting, records of every fire call made for the current month, including a property description and/or 911 address, name of the property owner and/or occupant, names of the firefighters who answered the call, and the amount of time it took for the firefighters to respond to the call, and the amount of time the firefighters were at the fire scene. A synopsis of all training performed this month, including the type of training, the amount of time training, and who participated in such training. A financial report that includes all expenditures for equipment purchases, or equipment repairs, or other. A synopsis of the current equipment being used by the VFD, including its condition, testing, or repairs. Whether there are any plans being discussed regarding needs for new equipment or repairs for existing equipment. Status of any fundraiser projects and any other information. Assistant Fire Chief. The Assistant Fire Chief shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 2-year term. The Assistant Fire Chief shall have the following responsibilities. Oversee all operations, decisions, and conduct of the VFD in the absence of the Fire Chief. Report to the Board. Approve all expenditures for small or emergency purchases for the VFD in the absence of the Fire Chief. In the event the Assistant Fire Chief does approve such expenditures and/or purchases, he or she must report the same to the Board and provide an invoice for each such expenditure or purchase. And attend all VFD meetings and provide the Board with all requested information in the absence of the Fire Chief. Safety Officer. The Safety Officer shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 1-year term. The Safety Officer shall assure all operations of the VFD are managed with safety. Captains. All captains shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 1-year term. The captain shall oversee all operations at the scene of a fire when the Fire Chief and Assistant Fire Chief are unavailable. Training Officer. The Training Officer shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 1-year term. The Training Officer shall be certified as a training officer in accordance with the guidelines of the Arkansas Fire Academy prior to providing any training instruction to any member of the VFD. The Training Officer shall assure that all members of the VFD are appropriately trained. Pump Operator. The Pump Operator shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 1-year term. In the event the Fire Chief, Assistant Fire Chief, and all captains are unavailable at the scene of the fire, the Pump Operator shall oversee all operations. Secretary. The Secretary shall be appointed by the Fire Chief and approved by the Board for a 1-year term. For a 3-year term. The Secretary shall have the following responsibilities. Provide an accurate inventory of all of the VFD, provide an accurate inventory of all equipment received and dispersed by the VFD, maintain accurate and complete records of all meetings of the VFD, maintain accurate records of fires, including but not limited to recording the time the alarm was received, recording the time each alarm received a response, recording what VFD members were dispatched, and all other records of information the state of Arkansas requires. Preparing daily logs of all activities of the VFD, and submit such daily logs in the form of a weekly report to the Fire Chief to be approved. After such approval, the weekly report shall be sent to the Board, and assist the Board and its designated representatives in the preparation of grant applications for the VFD. Treasurer. The Fire Chief shall appoint and the Board shall approve the Treasurer for a 3-year term. The Treasurer shall have the following responsibilities. Maintain a record of all public monies received and dispersed. Provide a monthly report to the Fire Chief for his or her approval. Such monthly report shall be presented at the regular monthly meeting of the Board and the property owners. Maintain the VFD books accurately and ensure that all records and books comply with the requirements for submission of all financial records required by the Board for an annual audit, and assist the Board and its designated representatives in the preparation of grant applications for the VFD. Resignation. If any officer resigns from their position, the Fire Chief shall appoint a replacement officer from the list of current active members or officers within 10 days of such a resignation. The appointment shall be approved by the board. Article 3, finances. All monies received from the county, state of Arkansas, Act 833 grants or any other source for the benefit of the VFD shall be deposited into the Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement Bank account. The board shall designate a certain portion of the account for expenditures of the VFD in its annual budget. Impress account. An impress account shall be retained by the VFD. The impress account funds shall not be used unless funds are not otherwise available. Further, the impress account funds shall only be spent at the discretion and approval of the fire chief. The impress account shall have a balance of no more than $500 at any time. Copies of all invoices for expenditures out of the impress account shall be given to the board to be reviewed and retained for the annual audit. Upon reviewing the invoices, and if the board approves the invoices, the board shall provide the necessary funds to keep the balance of the impress account at $500. Fundraisers. The VFD may have fundraisers to raise money for the various costs of maintaining a fire department. Annual audit. The board shall have conducted an annual audit of all of its financial matters, including but not limited to all receipts and expenditures of the VFD. Article 4, meetings. The VFD shall have a weekly meeting to discuss the events of the upcoming week. Such weekly meetings shall be held on Tuesday nights at 6:30 at the fire department. The first meeting of each month, i.e. the first unavailable. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, sorry, I flipped. There you go. The first meeting of each month, i.e. the first Tuesday night, there you go, shall specifically address all VFD business issues. The other remaining weekly meetings shall specifically address training drills and other matters deemed necessary by the fire chief or the board. Special meetings. If necessary, the fire chief or the training officer may require additional special meetings or training classes and drills. Such meetings or drills shall be mandatory for all the officers and members unless the fire chief specifically states otherwise. The fire chief or the training officer must give a minimum of 2 weeks' notice of each special meeting or drill by having the secretary call each member and officer to inform them of such meeting or drill. Further, the fire chief or training officer must inform the board within 24 hours of such decision to hold an additional meeting or drill. Attendance. Every officer and member of the VFD is expected to attend all VFD meetings and drills, unless otherwise stated by the fire chief. An officer or member may not miss more than 3 meetings or drills during any 1-year period. In the event an officer or member misses more than 3 meetings or drills, such person shall appear in front of the board. The board shall then determine whether such person shall be terminated from the VFD. The board shall consider all extenuating circumstances, such as illness, deaths in the family, or other such circumstances. In regard to special meetings and training drills, notice must have successfully been given to the officer or member at least 2 weeks in advance of such special meeting or drill. If notice was not given or not given in a timely manner, the absence shall not be counted against the officer or member. Article 5, guidelines for the use of emergency equipment. Equipment. A member of the VFD shall be permitted to install his or her personal vehicle with lights, sirens, or other related markings approved by the board. Such installation shall be at the sole cost of the individual member of the VFD. However, the fire chief will be furnished with lights, sirens, and other related markings at the expense of the VFD. Misuse of equipment. A member who misuses his or her fire equipment shall be subject to review by the board and may be ordered to remove said equipment and may be dismissed from the VFD. Authorized personnel. Only members of the VFD may use the VFD property, tools, or equipment. Further, the members may not loan any such property, tools, or equipment to anyone who is not a member of the VFD without the prior written consent of the board. Fire trucks. The Department of Forestry has allowed the VFD to use one of its fire trucks. Such fire trucks shall not leave the boundaries of Ozark Acres without the written authorization of the fire chief or the assistant fire chief unless mutual aid has been requested. Further, the other fire trucks owned by Ozark Acres shall not leave the boundaries of Ozark Acres unless mutual aid has been requested. Age requirement. Under no circumstances shall any member under the age of 25 years be authorized to drive any vehicle of the VFD. Article 6. Standards. Alcohol. No member or officer may drink alcohol while on duty, including when such member is on call. Drugs. No member or officer may use any illegal drugs at any time. The board reserves the right to random drug test any officer or member at any time. Behavior. Each member and officer shall conduct themselves in a professional manner at all times, being mindful that they are representatives of Ozark Acres. Rules. Each member and officer must abide by all rules and regulations as set out by the board and by these bylaws. Article 7. Areas of service. The VFD shall answer fire calls within or outside the boundaries of Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement District. However, depending on which specific area the fire call is within, varying amounts of support shall be provided. In order to address this as specifically as possible, Ozark Acres has divided the fire call zones into 3 separate areas. Area 1 is the entire area within the boundary of the Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement District. All equipment and manpower shall be utilized to respond to a fire call within Area 1. Area 2 is the area outside the boundaries of the Ozark Acres Suburban Improvement District, but within the prescribed fire district or operating area. If the VFD has 2 units of firefighting apparatus, only one such firefighting apparatus shall respond to a fire call within Area 2. Likewise, if the VFD has 3 units of firefighting apparatus, only 2 shall respond to a fire call within Area 2. At all times, there shall be a minimum of 1 firefighting apparatus available to respond to a fire call within Area 1. The fire chief shall decide which firefighting apparatuses shall respond to the fire call within Area 2 and which firefighting apparatus shall remain in Area 1. Area 3 is all areas not specifically included in Area 1 or Area 2. Regardless of the number of firefighting apparatuses Ozark Acres has, only 1 firefighting apparatus may respond to a fire call within Area 3. The purpose of this provision is to ensure that Area 1 is always adequately covered. 5-mile radius exception. Regardless from what area a fire call originates, if the fire call has been made from an area within a 5-mile radius of the VFD station, the VFD shall respond if it is determined by the fire chief that it is necessary to save a structure, prevent a forest fire, or control a fire that could endanger the property and residents of Area 1. Mutual aid exception. The VFD shall honor all mutual aid agreements entered between or among other fire departments and approved by the board. However, in no event shall more than 1 firefighting apparatus be deployed to assist other fire departments. Further, the fire chief shall organize certain members of the VFD to be on call to answer a fire call within Area 1 while such firefighting apparatus is assisting another fire department. Tanker exception. The VFD's tanker shall respond to all fire calls from the Arkansas State Forestry Department. Adopted this 13th day of December 2004. Subscribed and sworn before me this 13th day of December 2004.
Okay, so we have read through all of the bylaws. So I know as a fact that the bylaws have not been followed, and I'd like to thank Kyle for bringing the bylaws to our attention and going by the bylaws. So this day forward, we will be following the rules of the bylaws. We cannot completely follow them because otherwise we wouldn't have a volunteer fire department. Because none of the people that are on the fire department as of today have had a final approval by the board. This is the board. It doesn't matter if they were they were voted in with the fire department. There has been no final approval by the board. So, we are going to make an exception that will be all of the firefighters that have their training complete and their certifications will be on the fire department. Those that have not finished their training and are on the fire department currently will go back to a 90-day probation period. So I don't know who all has had their complete fire training. We will look that over within the next few days.
That would be going against,
You have it there?
that would be going against the bylaw that states we have a year from the acceptance date. That would-
No, you weren't accepted. It says from us. You have to have the final, right here, let me see where it is.
Well,
So
Marcia
it
is
says
saying,
after-
no,
It says
right?
after the
Kyle.
90 days, there will be another meeting.
Kyle, every single person on our volunteer fire department that I just read the bylaws to, every single person was supposed to have been approved by the board. None of them have been approved by the board. You pointed out that we have not followed the bylaws, so we are going to be following the bylaws as you've requested, which requires us to approve every single person that sits on the volunteer fire department. Right now, none of you are volunteer fire department members. We are no, you're not. No, you're not. If you follow the bylaws, none of you are volunteer fire department members.
Which bylaw are you talking about?
The one I just read.
Which one specifically are you saying? Because the
Okay,
bylaw
well-
gives permission for a year to get your certifications.
How long have you been?
Less than a year.
How long?
Say 6 months.
6 months, and how many classes have you missed?
I haven't missed any of them.
After the end of the probationary period, the volunteer fire department chief shall make a formal recommendation to the board.
Which
The
is us.
board shall approve the applicant for membership if it is determined the applicant has met all of the requirements of membership. Well, your membership requirements have never been submitted to us as a
It
board.
doesn't matter.
So
We have
it
a
does
year to
matter.
get the
It's
certificate.
number one
Y'all
on
are
the list,
wanting,
dude.
y'all are wanting
Well,
to
that's
create a
your
buddy
opinion,
system with the
we're
fire
going
department.
they're going by the board.
That is what you're attempting to do.
No, you said follow the bylaws, so we're following the bylaws. Bylaw number 1 says we have final say on who becomes a member of the board. So when you guys all put in your membership applications and we look over them and we approve them, then you are a member of the fire department.
Okay, but by your own terms, you're saying that, no, by your own terms, that she just said is everyone who is currently on is on a 90-day probation, which means you are contradicting her by saying no one's a fire department.
I agree, I think they all should submit their applications and the certificates to us, maybe.
I know, but she's contradicting what Marcia just
No,
said.
no, she's not.
You said that everyone that is
You
currently
let
on-
me speak, okay? You hold your voice and you let me speak. You're lucky that we're even letting you speak at this moment. Okay. The final approval of the number 1.5. Okay, and then it goes down to 1.7. After the end of the probationary period, the volunteer fire chief shall make a formal recommendation to the board. The board shall approve the applicant for membership if it is determined the applicant has met all requirements of membership.
Where does it say majority of the board? Because it says board, and if I'm not
The
mistaken,
board is the board of commissioners.
and she is our fire commissioner, and I'm pretty sure she got everyone's application. But what you had said is...
No, you're not listening.
Okay, I'll scratch that, but what you had just said was every current member is on a 90-day probation. That is what you just said. If you need, we can go back.
We are
But
making-
She just said
now-
everybody's on.
Kyle, sit down and be quiet. No more questions from you. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We have established that the meetings were not being run. We have established that nobody, I don't think, has had physical training.
You mean a health physical? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
And we have not been presented with any classes at this point that people have taken. The board has not approved any of the final volunteer fire department members.
How's that the fire department's fault though, that y'all did
Because
not
the
follow
fire
bylaws?
chief was supposed to bring it to us.
You got copies
Did you-
of all the training.
Did you ask him about it?
We couldn't, because we really didn't ever come to a meeting, so, and his report on a house fire was, we had a house fire this month. It didn't say what house, it didn't say who owned it, it didn't say who saved it, or if we let it burn, it didn't say anything. So, consequently, why we're in the situation that we're in with getting a new fire chief.
But you're not a detailed report on each fire we went to?
No, last month's fire department report was we had a house fire this month. Handwritten on a piece of paper, that is what was presented to us as a board. We had a house fire. There was no address, there was nobody, nothing.
Another issue, another issue with the way.
We as the board, we pick the chief.
Right.
Okay, and then we let the chief know who we feel, could be a candidate for that. Then the fire department, the chief and the person, they do the final say. They present it to us.
We
So
already had an assistant chief that was obviously approved by the board, so how can he
He
demote
was
our
not-
assistant chief? No, by the
You're not
fire
listening.
chief, it says the
but for
fire.
every meeting that the fire chief didn't show up, that assistant fire chief should have been here. And we
So you're
didn't have
gonna
that.
penalize the fire department
No,
over something that
We're not
you're not.
penalizing the fire
You
department.
are by sitting there putting everyone active on, that is taking our calls on
No, we're
restricted
saying
or
we're
90-day
not going by the
probation.
bylaws like you want.
Right, but by putting everyone on a 90-day probation, you
The
are.
final say is the board's.
So what you're saying is, don't use the bylaws or do use the
No,
bylaws?
I'm saying, start following the bylaws, don't
That's what
punish the
we're doing.
existing.
That's what
She's
we're doing.
trying to run out the existing members because she told me in the last meeting I had with her, if I don't basically sit down, shut up, and let this happen, that we'll dissolve the fire department.
Well, no, I think.
That doesn't sound,
she said
that doesn't sound like the best
she wanted to
interest
keep-
for our community,
she
does
wanted
it?
to keep all the fire.
And that's why we're trying to work
So you're
this out.
trying to create a buddy system by bringing in a chief.
One more time. Sit down.
I'm not a kid.
Yes, you may.
Can we put in an amendment that way, fire chief, assistant fire chief, whichever one shows up for the monthly meetings has to be present at the meeting
It
here?
says-
Yes.
It says that right in
Yeah,
here.
the whole time.
That's what I'm trying to bring up, so if it was Dylan, Cater, Tim, I can't remember the one before that, none of them all showed up.
Correct.
And now,
Now we've got
Now we've got people who are willing to do that.
I've never met the gentleman. I know 3 of you sitting there. I don't know the lady with the hat on. I'm a landowner, just like the rest. I want to know who the hell's on, who's doing what. I want to know that
that's what
there's not a
we want
felon
you to know.
showing up at a resident's house,
Correct,
period,
correct.
because of a fire going on.
As a current sitting member. on
That's just my personal
Which
expression.
application?
And I'm going to be pretty much, I'm going to assume the rest
Kyle,
of
we're
the
in a meeting.
Do you
We're in a
want,
meeting.
do you want a,
Sit down.
I'm not-
do you want a felon showing up at your residence, say it's an outdoor fire party, your structure gets on, they can come in and see what you got in your house?
we're gonna have all applicants.
We're gonna have-
Everyone in the fire department will have all their
I want to
applications.
make sure that the residents of Ozark Acres has a fire department, voluntary or not, however you look at it, has someone show up, either first responders for cardiac arrest, because we have plenty of senior citizens out here. Me and Marty both say it. We both have health problems. We really do. So, there's other community members out here with the same wants, same needs.
Correct. And
And
I
we're
don't
with you.
want
Okay, and so what
We're
we're,
with you. From this day forward, we're with you. We're gonna. do
right, so what we're
everything
trying to do right
everything.
now is place that fire chief into that position to start following these properly.
All the rules.
So
like
what,
scratch.
my opinion is, everyone that's active right now on the fire department,
We will see you.
say by Friday night, needs to be a meeting here with the board. You're talking 90-day probation. That way Lonnie can now, today's Wednesday, that would give her time to pull all the papers
It
up,
will be done at our next meeting.
or at the next meeting. That way y'all can see everything that everybody has.
Right,
Before we promote a bunch of other stuff, let's make sure everything is to legit. Before we have the next
That's
meeting,
what we're-
That's what we're doing.
all.
that's what we're trying to do.
But we did pick a chief. We're doing that
But the
today.
chief,
Next
the
chief, the board has to approve an assistant fire chief.
Kyle?
And I suggest they live in the area, they have to be a property owner before they can be used.
Well, yeah.
Well,
The requirements of what, that's not up to us to
That's
decide
not
what the requirements are.
requirements.
That's the fire chief's responsibility, is to set the standards for his volunteer fire department. Okay? So what we need to do before we can do
It's
anything,
awful hard to be on call, be in this area if you live 20 miles from here.
I have personally been at 3 different calls, okay, during the day here, that no one has come to. All right? So it doesn't matter if they live in here or not. We supposedly have 28 people on our volunteer fire department, but that's what I've been told, 28 volunteer fire department members, most of them husband and wives. And when I had a medical call that I was at, I got nobody from here.
Are you on the fire department?
I'm not on the fire department. I made a medical call. I said, hello, can you come and help? I got an emergency, okay? I had Hardy respond before anyone in the acres. So I get what you're saying, Keith, about the fact that it's nice that they live close by. But right now, what we need are people that are actually going to meetings, being trained, ready to do what they need to do, showing up, not being like, oh, let's all like have a party this Friday, wherever, okay? We need people that are actually dedicated to making an actual volunteer fire department.
Oh, I know.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, I completely understand.
Okay.
You need to throw one more thing in there. A lot of your felons are willing to risk their own lives to save the people here. Me being a convicted felon, I have my files outside. If y'all want to go through them, go for it. I don't care. I have nothing to be ashamed of. Ty asked me to come here to help turn this place around.
Well, and that, you know what? In your situation, that's the reason that the board has a final approval on who is approved or not. Okay, so if you come and Ty has your certifications and we as a board sit and review that, we have the authority to determine if we want you on or not.
The board doesn't have final approval.
It does, Kyle.
It says that the applicant has to go to the fire department and have to be voted, and then the board, if approved by the fire department.
now, no, it's
If approved by the fire department members, then the board, right?
one more time and you're out.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So we have.
Ty Lindsay has come in and applied for the position of volunteer fire department chief, correct?
Correct. And we have looked over his,
Certifications.
yes.
Correct. I make a motion that we approve Ty Lindsay as our volunteer fire department chief to begin to oversee our volunteer fire department in Ozark Acres.
I second that.
Did we put in a deal, a probation period?
For the chief?
In the bylaws.
For the chief,
For the chief.
there's not a probationary period for the chief.
No.
We and we.
That they're appointed, and you are for a term of 3 years.
Did you say, I couldn't hear, did you say Dylan?
Did what?
Did you say?
No.
What did he say? I couldn't hear.
He said on a probationary period, and I know,
No.
but it's not, yes.
Lonnie, do you have all Ty's information?
Yes, we have all, we have all of Ty's
These are his
information.
certificates.
We've all looked through his work, yes.
Okay, so I made a motion that we,
And I second motion.
So the last word I'm
Period of
calling
3
is
years.
get out.
We're voting. So right now we're voting. I have a motion to approve Ty as the fire chief
for a period of 3
for a
years,
period of 3 years. I have a second. The motion was made by Chris Ellen. I have a second by Della. All those in favor? Unanimous. Kyle's the chief.
no, 5.
Welcome, Ty.
Welcome, Ty.
Thank you.
Welcome to the,
Welcome
Okay.
to Nizzle Ale.
woo!
Okay, approve of applicants for the fire department.
Okay, from what I could gather, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, including Susie that wants to take part as a secretary. We'll plan on having 2 secretaries, one for Ty
Yes.
and one for the assistant fire chief.
Okay.
So Heather, now, another thing, I'm hearing that people have quit because of Dylan, and the way I feel about it, if you're here for one person,
It's my life, sorry.
for one person working, you're not here for your community. Your community should come first. I can't help if somebody's your buddy. We want somebody in here that's going to get your training done. I asked for fundraisers to be done, not a one was done.
I volunteered to help the fire department with the fundraisers. Nobody called.
This is our community. If my house burns, I pray to God, people come to it.
So can we have to?
Can I ask who responded to the last call
information?
I'm sorry, what?
Can I ask who all responded to the very last call that was made?
I don't know. We didn't
Nobody.
report.
Not even our fire chief, nobody.
That's because he works 12 hours a night.
It was during the day though, it was at like 3 p.m. I was at the hospital with my wife when
Okay,
the call.
now, he works from 6 at night to 6 in the morning. He does things for the fire department up here after work, so I'm sure he is home sleeping. But we had all these other people that could have gone. We had first responders. I heard not one person came, that woman could have died.
I was told not to, and you were in the office.
Who
when I
told
was-
you not to?
Ty.
He told not to.
Are you certified?
I am CPR certified, which is the only required for first
You
responders.
have to work in the direct supervision.
Do you have
No.
the certifications with you?
On me right now, no.
I like to talk
Doesn't
to them.
matter.
I'd like
You
to
have
see
to have
what
direct
they do.
supervision.
Okay.
Let me
So-
clear something up. From what I heard at the office the other day, it was Ty, you, me, and Marcia. What he was telling you that you cannot go into a structured fire until you are certified. And you wanted to sign a waiver to go in there.
Right, because I'm willing to.
And you're not allowed to do
The
that.
volunteer fire department can't be sued, the members can. But, well, I mean, if
You're not
it's, and that's fine, but y'all also told me no medical calls. So how am I, should I disobey the guy who was acting chief? Because did you not tell me not to take medical?
I told you not to go on structure fires or medical. If you're not certified, you're not allowed to go.
You didn't say that part, you said do not take.
I didn't say
You
that.
have to work in the direct supervision.
I am CPR certified, which is the only requirement.
But don't you have to be under direct supervision
No.
of your,
If
of
you're,
your,
If our
It doesn't
chief
matter.
doesn't take
It
the
doesn't
call.
matter.
It doesn't
This
matter.
doesn't matter at this point.
At this point, we're starting over,
Okay?
and we're going to get through this. Lana, who all right now has all these
Well, I'll read them. Some of these supposedly are quit. I do not know.
quit, then we go.
Well, I don't have anything. I'm just
Nobody
saying-
quits unless they send a letter of resignation, letter of resignation, including.
Each one of those.
Yeah, I have certified right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, Jason Wilson turned in his equipment, so I would say that's his.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
So we have 10 certified, and some of these supposedly have quit. I don't know, it'd be nice to know who we've got.
well, if they're, to be on our fire department, I think we need responsible people, not people that are just gonna quit because our buddy's not working there. That's not what I want.
That's not right.
I don't know if
That's
it's
right.
Yeah,
How, why did it happen?
so maybe.
Tell me like you told, or tell him like you told me the other day.
Truth be told, because the SID is trying to dictate the fire department.
No, we're trying to go by the bylaws.
Hold on, wait, am I allowed to talk or am I gonna get
1
told to
minute.
shut up?
1 minute.
The fire department, half of our members have always been responding. We have always. I have seen him at every call except the last one, which I didn't make because I was ordered not to. So every one of our members, I will go and get a signed thing asking how it was. But we feel like the SID does not care about our opinion. Do you feel like they care about your opinion?
That's not
We're
what
just
it is.
trying to get properly informed.
From becoming a buddy system.
That's right, you see several
Correct.
quit because of
Right,
the
and I will get, they didn't quit because of Dylan, but we're trying to avoid a buddy system. When you have when you have a chief who wants to come in and override the entire department, try and throw me off because he doesn't like something, then I said, hold on, I had a minute and I'm going to run out of time. Try and throw me off, who I have always made every call possible. I have even left work to respond to a call because I had seen no one was responding. Just because he wants the department his way, and then demote our
Kyle?
current assistant fire. I have a minute.
I know, you're about up.
Demote our current assistant fire chief to try and bring on his friend who has a felony, who the previous way it was ran was no felonies. And the fire safety board is actually in the process of making legislation to make that a law. That is one.
Okay, can I suggest something to you? You should spend half as much time focusing on getting your certifications, getting additional training, and being a...
I wasn't made aware of how to get my...
Hey, I'm talking now. Okay? You should spend half as much time as getting your certifications, getting additional training, finding out what you could do to have a fundraiser for the volunteer fire department if you're that into the volunteer fire department, rather than constantly crabbing about stuff,
Okay.
constantly nitpicking, constantly blaming the SID.
Okay, so to address your thing, no, I'm going to
Don't be
address
certified.
Hold on one
We're
second.
done.
Okay, let me address
At the end
you.
of those meetings, did you ever ask them how we're handling
I asked my fire chief multiple times.
And-
I have attempted to, and I've ran multiple fundraisers through my landscaping company to run and gather money for the fire department. If I may make a personal suggestion, you should learn how to control your attitude because you are a public
Excuse
official.
me,
And so are you.
And so are you.
Excuse me, did you not just say
Emma?
that Ed
Oh,
said
no.
that you asked your fire chief multiple times about how
I
to
did.
get the training?
I did, and he was working on it with...
For 6 months?
Okay,
he was
we
working on
will,
it.
we
Yeah,
will
so why
get
did you
together.
back you like that?
I'm sorry?
Why are
Okay.
you,
We will,
it'll be better.
we will, before the next commissioners meeting,
Review all the
review
applicants.
all of the applications. In the meantime, the people that have certifications are the ones that I want to be going to the fires.
Okay, what about medical?
Medical also, the ones that are certified.
Okay, so what certifications are you requiring? for medical?
PPE intro.
You have
All in your bylaws. You want to
The
go by your
bylaws
bylaws.
doesn't specify.
Yeah, it does.
Your certifications for medical is EMR, CPR. Those are your top choice certifications that you have to run on medical calls.
What is the EMR?
Okay, that's
EMR,
not
emergency medical
This
responders.
is crazy.
That's all EMR stands for, is emergency medical responder.
As a
Okay.
current
It
member
is
of
a
Okay.
7-day course. Ashflat usually holds one once a year.
Okay.
I've got a call in with Freddie Gann over there. He's gonna get me the next time that they're doing the EMR to where we can get people certified on it.
Okay, Okay,
Speaking of which, on top of that, Saturday, June 8th at 0900, Freddie is holding there's going to be a class there for PPE.
June 8th.
Then at 0900 in the morning,
Where is it gonna be?
Ashland Fire Departments. I've been calling multiple instructors to get everybody certified.
And how much is it?
And it does not pay, doesn't cost anything,
Okay.
so all they got to do is show up and do it.
I do believe the EMR is $15 a person on that, but other than that, the CPR is what,
$5 to $10.
5 to 10. I can give you a
There
specific
you go.
price on
I've got the
it.
information.
okay.
I do,
Again,
just want to clarify something that y'all touched on.
No.
You said you're following the, so are the new applicants
Kyle!
on
We're done, we're done.
silence.
The new
Okay. Okay, so we've discussed that. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
I said that.
Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting at 1:50, made by Chris Ellen, seconded by Della. All those in favor? Unanimous. Meeting's adjourned.
Now that you can't bang a gavel at me, out of curiosity, does that mean
Now,
that
can
you're
you
following the
order
bylaws
second?
now? Does that mean that new applicants have to be approved by the volunteer? Thank you.
You got your work out before you have a piece of work.
Thousands.
I'm gonna try
But
to.
we have to go pull that.
Right.
Oh, so fun.
Well, she said that you have a 90 day.
I don't know how to turn this off.
It is what it is.
Just unplug it. Should turn off.
I think that's what I'm gonna do, because
I'll do that.